Are you building a business, feeling the stress of all the pressures on you, and hungry to learn from other entrepreneurs? Then you're in the right place. You're listening to But First Principles, where we highlight the principles you need to win both at work and at life. Let's dive in. All right, so for today's episode, we've got Mare with Soulshine Studios, another Richmond entrepreneur. Really excited to talk with her because she's, focused on things of the soul and finding purpose and your own. Is it fair to say your own voice, your own power, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Very cool. So, and actually, I will say that like we've had a little bit of internet issues. So if there's any skipping, just folks know that that's our fault. It's not probably not the folks who are listening who are experiencing difficulties. And hopefully we can just pull this off and it won't be a problem. So, Mayor, I'd love to just hear how would you tell your story up to this point?
Wow. All right. I guess I grew up in Richmond.
Okay, great.
And then I
Yeah.
was gone for 20 years and came back. But I think the part of the story that really starts with growing up in Richmond and going to UVA.
Mhm.
And then I went to UNC and I had got a grad degree there and had kids. And the
What was
thing that
your
really
what was your study? What'd you study?
So undergrad, I did religious studies,
Oh
and
wow,
then
okay.
graduate school, I have a graduate degree in information science.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, yeah.
So
So
statistician kind of thing, or like
kind of a little internet based.
okay,
Yeah, it was right at the beginning of the internet, so super exciting.
yeah.
Um, and stuff about organizing, storing, and retrieving information.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So information systems, information science, and
got
I
it.
love
Okay,
it. Love it. Um,
nice.
yeah.
Fellow nerd here, like
It's
yeah,
good. It's all good. So I did that, and but I guess that is part of the story too.
yeah.
And then I had kids, and I had a hard time bouncing back after my second baby
Mhm.
with just feeling good and like myself. And so I
Yeah,
joined a gym, and I was doing like all the things that one should do that I had been told
yeah.
would make me feel better, and nothing was really working. I was going to the gym very regularly, doing all the things, and I just still felt drained, and which I guess is reasonable with two little kids,
Yeah,
but just um,
yeah,
not fully alive.
yeah, yeah.
And then I was doing it was the 90s, so I was doing things like step aerobics and stuff like that, and the treadmill and weights.
Apparently,
Um,
leotards and things like that were cool too. Like
yeah,
is
very cool, very cool. Yeah,
that?
but I was not really set up for that at that point. Um,
Sure.
so then I found this dance-based class that I really had never been much of a dance person. But there was a real sense of freedom in the class and like just enough guidance for me to feel comfortable kind of knowing what to do, but
Hmm.
also freedom that I could do it my way and I didn't have to look like everybody else and whatever. And I really, really enjoyed it. And that was the beginning of me kind of getting into the business that I have today.
Okay.
And what really happened was my teacher told us she was moving away, and she was young and beautiful. Now, I was 29, but I felt old because I had two kids,
Yeah.
and so two kids,
My
I
wife
felt,
and I are kind of going through the same thing right
yeah,
now. Actually, we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it's
yeah,
like, oh man,
yeah,
kids make
yeah,
you old really fast.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Right.
felt old, and she was out of college, so she was at least 23. So she wasn't that much younger than me, but she was a dancer and, single. And she
Yeah.
seemed a lot younger than I did. And I
Right.
was, kind of complaining to her about her leaving. And she said, well, you should do the training and become a teacher. And I mean, her comments were right over my head. I just was like, I can't do that. And it took weeks. And finally, one day she just looked me straight in the eye. I was like, you should do this. And I said, I can't. And she said, why not? And I said, look at me and look at you. And I really believed that. Like I believed that I needed to look like her to teach this class. And she said, no, that is not what it's about. It's for anybody. And it got through to me somehow. And I went away for a full week. My husband and a load of babysitters watched the kids. And I came back, and this is really also, I think, a key part of my story. I came back and I took over her classes because she was
Oh,
moving.
like literally, like just you went to the training for a week,
Yeah.
intensive kind of style, and just
Yeah.
and took over
And
the
I
class.
came back
Wow.
and,
Okay.
and I still, it took me a little while to get over to do everything. But
Sure.
what happened, I think, is the most interesting part and a huge learning for me is like her classes that had been so successful really dwindled and dwindled and dwindled until they failed because I was not her. And I was kind of trying to be like her, and I couldn't be like her. She actually left Chapel Hill, North Carolina to go to California to be a professional dancer. So, like, there's no way I'm going to be filling
You
those
just
shoes.
instantly feel those shoes. Yeah. Right.
Right. And what I needed to do was create my own vibe, and then have the people find me who liked what I had to offer. And what
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah. Yeah.
offer was similar but different. And so that
Yep.
let
Can
like
I?
fizzled.
Can
And
I just?
then,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, just sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt, but the just it's interesting because even that, like, have you heard the term product market fit?
Yes.
Okay. Well, like in service business and in a small business, like so much of it is relationship based.
Mhm.
And, you're going to work best with the kinds of people who you resonate with, right? Like you are part of, like, huge part of the brand, right? As a business owner. And part of the product market fit, the part of the product is you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I've some of the clients I've worked with where we've really done like kind of some soul searching about like who they are and what's important to them, their values, and like some of those exercises that can feel very trite. Um,
Yeah.
it's actually really eye-opening, and it helps them to really hone in on the the clients and the customers that are easiest
Yeah.
to work with, are most profitable, all that. So, you know, again, I'm kind of a nerd, so like I'm thinking like, okay, what's the business principle here? And like, there's one, right there that like it's
Absolutely.
not just personality. No, it's actually a big part of the business, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
And
yeah,
like we were chatting earlier too,
yeah,
it sounds trite and goofy, but nobody can be me better than I can be me.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
nobody.
yeah.
So if I just like do all the things that I love and I'm the best at, like, and attract the people who want that, I,
Mhm.
it's gonna work, you know? But and this is, I still get hung up here a lot. Like I work with people in the studio who teach things I teach and similar, and I see them and how awesome they are in something, the way they do something.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm get pulled into like comparing myself and be like, oh, I should do it that way. And then I have to be like, no, that's the way
yeah,
she does it. It's awesome for her, but this is the way I do it. And it's, so it's a hard lesson,
yeah,
but really important one.
yeah, absolutely. Well, again, like to extend that just a little bit, the um, I'm a huge believer in learning. That's the whole point of this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in so many ways, connecting with people and learning. And um, the the fact is that we do need to have a little of that, like, so like, ooh, I wonder if I could do that, right?
Yes.
And that's healthy and that's good. And to kind of like, there's a certain amount of measurement that comes from that. Well, like they're like here and we're here, that's good and healthy. Um,
Right.
and at the same time, there's kind of a paradox, like comparison is the thief of joy. Like, stop it.
Yes.
Like, like, and you're awesome.
Yes.
You've got to figure out, like, yes, you've got to learn how to build a business and run a business and, use a business model and all those things that make a profit, all the things that businesses have to do. And there's a lot of learning and learning from others that is involved in that. And at the same time, the one of the coolest things about owning your own business, being an entrepreneur, having a small business is that you've got a special something that only you can bring to the market. So anyway,
Right.
off my soapbox. Yeah, but I think we're probably
Yeah,
going to
it's
stand on
good. It's
soapboxes a
all
lot
good.
here. So it's yeah.
All
All right.
good.
Yeah. Okay. So what to pick up the storyline again? The so you her classes are dwindling and you're kind of working through this. What's going on in your mind or like what's kind of the next turn in the road?
Um, so I eventually ended up stopping teaching where she was teaching.
Okay.
And then I started in some brand new places with little classes, at the Parks and Rec and the Senior Center and the YMCA. And slowly I got people coming who liked what I had to offer, and it's
Yeah.
just, it's a
Yeah.
different thing.
Yep.
And And so that was really great. I did that in Chapel Hill for a few years. Then another interesting part of my story is we got transferred from my husband's job to London
Oh,
with our
wow.
kids.
Okay.
So we lived in London for 2.5 years, and I taught there, which was a lot of fun. Um, and then we came back to Richmond, and I taught here. And it was the same thing, like getting started all again, all brand new people. I hadn't lived here for 20 years. Um,
Hmm.
and it was really slow, just so slow. It's hard getting adults to try something new. The class that I teach is it's a little difficult to describe sometimes, and people don't know they don't know exactly what to expect, and that turns off a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
it's a blend of yoga and dance and martial arts, but it's it's a sort of thing like you can't just look in the window and get a good grasp of what's going on. So
Yeah.
it took a long
Interestingly,
time.
I think that's
Oh,
like
go ahead.
coaching is very similar in many ways. Like coaching is such a big thing, and it takes some building a relationship and all that. So
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
relate, Yeah.
Yes, yeah, you have to experience it. So I
Right.
tell people sometimes, I'm like, well, it's like wine tasting. I can't explain the wine to you. You need to taste the wine. So that's with my class. You don't watch it. You do it and you feel it and you experience it and then decide, rather than going, and just staring. It's not going to work. So yeah, I
Yeah.
can't watch coaching either. Um, but I almost hit another quitting point with that, like just putting myself out there over and
Mm.
over and over. And I was really almost going to quit. And that was the time. It had been over a year and a half, when all of a sudden the people kind of just started coming, and it blossomed and was fantastic. Um, and so I was doing that at a local health club here in Richmond, and it was great, building community. More teachers started joining what I was doing, and it was fantastic. And then we got transferred again from my husband's job to Paris.
Oh,
And yeah,
okay.
so that was pretty good. And then I taught in Paris, and I taught in French because I also minored in French at UVA. So I taught in French, which was quite the workout on my
Yeah,
brain
yeah, yeah.
to be like dancing and saying all these things, in French.
Wow,
Um,
good for you. I
yeah,
mean, you're no slouch because like I
no,
lived in Mexico for a while and it is a real workout to
it
like
is. I
translate,
sweat. Yeah, I
is it?
sweated a lot
Yeah.
more when I
Yeah.
was speaking in French. So I know mental energy is a real thing. And my
Right.
favorite story from that time actually is I use a lot of imagery when I'm teaching to help people move in different ways. Rather than saying, lift up your arm, lift it up. It'll be like, reach for an apple, do this and get people. It just has them moving in different ways. And so one day we were doing this moving quickly through the room, and I wanted to tell the people to move fast like fish. And the word fisherman in French is pêcheur, which would lead you to think that the word for fish is pêche, but that actually is peach, and fish is poisson. But I told the people to move like peaches. And
Oh
so
yeah, no, because that's
so they're all
really
dancing, they're all like moving, dancing, and then I say move like peaches, and everyone just stopped, and they're like, I said, oh, no, no, no. And then I told them, no,
the
comme des
thing that
poissons.
swims.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then that's really where the most exciting for me part of the story happened. Then I came back to Richmond, and with two of my friends here who also were teachers, yoga and dance teachers, we opened Soulshine Studios at the most unfortunate time of 9 months before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh man.
not the
Yeah.
best, not the
Right.
best, but we wanted to leave the health club environment because we really were creating a real space for what we were offering. And where we
Yeah.
were was fantastic in terms of a health club and a gym, but like we just couldn't hang out and support people the way we wanted to. It was much
Like the
more,
culture was like move in, move out, really kind of conveyor
yeah,
belt kind of,
yeah, and
right?
super friendly, like very
Okay.
friendly. I got nothing bad to say. We just wanted something different. So it's like you
Yeah.
were talking about with the market, we wanted something different.
Yeah.
And we got it. Yeah, so
And
we
so
opened.
that
Then the pandemic came. We switched to hybrid within 3 days. We bought all the stuff, my gosh. And that's just not my interest. Like getting things set up. I swear, when someone, you got the whole brand new system and the mixer and all the cords and wires and people telling me what to do, I feel like they're saying blah, 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 blah. And just thinking like, what? And it was so frustrating. Um, but we did it and it was hugely rewarding. I mean, not just for our clients, but for us. We were so connected. And some of those videos have just been popping back up because now it's 5 years, like exactly five. So they pop up in my Google pictures. And I see videos of more than 25 people like dancing in their little boxes. And it was just so powerful to be
Mm,
together when we really
mm,
could not
yeah.
see people. Like it was amazing.
Well, that's also awesome. The just getting people to move, and a huge influence for me is Tony Robbins,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And he has quite a story the way he continued doing his conferences virtually, like during the pandemic. But
Mhm.
um, for me personally, and clients I work with and all that, just paying attention to how you feel and the thoughts that you have in your mind, your mindset, right? When you're not moving, um, it has a huge impact. The fastest way to change how you feel and how you see the world and what you're willing to go after, right? The fastest way to do that is to move, right?
Mhm.
It
Yes.
breaks up it breaks up your lens, like the way that you're looking at the world. So that's powerful. That's great.
Yeah, it's very, very good. And then along those the brain things too, like there's so much work now with the brain and getting older and plasticity. Um, while things like bridge and crossword puzzles are really good for your brain, there have
Yeah,
been so many studies that dance is even
yeah,
better because
yeah.
when your blood is flowing and you're breathing and you're thinking about how to do something, it's intense. And I tell people sometimes, like, sometimes the movements we do are real simple and repetitive, and it's meditative and so calm. And, really, you could do it forever with no thought. And that's great in one way. Then we'll do things that are, you wouldn't think they're tricky, but like the brain just doesn't do these two
Oh
things
yeah,
at once.
oh
Like
yeah,
this
yeah,
classic
yeah,
one.
yeah. Well,
Um,
or learning to
but
dance with my wife, for
yeah,
example.
there you go. There you go. But I tell people all the time, like if they're having a hard time getting something, but they keep working at it, they're getting more out of it than anybody else. Like that's the difference between just sitting on a bike, good for your legs. Yep, good. They're going, 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 going. But you could be zoned out. But if you're just all in there, body, mind, spirit, it's really, really good for you.
Yeah. No, oh my gosh. Absolutely. I mean, that's, there's in coaching, the breakdown before the breakthrough, like
The
even on
breakdown for what?
the breakthrough.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a breakdown before the breakthrough. I mean, it's the same thing you're describing, like you're describing something on a very physical level, sort of in the
Yeah,
moment when you're trying to learn a dance or whatever, right? Um,
right.
but the same is true like for a business owner or, an entrepreneur or someone, like when, for example, like if you're working on time management, one of the kind of pillar things that I work with clients on, um, and you're organizing your life in a new way that's obviously like are really good for you that for example, get like a morning meditation in and that you are, having kind of a shutdown routine in the evening and that, those kinds of things are like just obviously like just good for you. The funny thing is like they're usually really frustrating first. Like just you
Right.
don't like it. It's uncomfortable, right? Um,
Yeah.
and even more profoundly, like working with other people when you're like building a business, working with a team, changing the way you work with a team, you kind of lose your identity a little bit because
Hmm.
this is how I did things, um, and sometimes you can lose your identity profoundly as well. And there's a breakdown. Like the more discomfort you're feeling, the bigger the reward's going to be on the other side, basically. And from more trivial things to really the most important things. Um, that's just how like welcome to human life. To break through, you got to push through. You got to break a barrier. Got to feel the frustration. So yeah, that's Yeah, amen. That's awesome. And that's
Yep.
so really good for you to move.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I actually just use this, that our classes always have some sort of focus that we do really more on the body in class, but then an intent, a message, for after class to take it out into life.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we were playing with that yesterday and talking about the choice of comfort or courage. And I was like, we actually, you can have both, and not at the same time necessarily, but
Right.
take care of yourself, do things that are super nourishing, and take care of the inside so you are stronger and ready to take on something else. They both, you got to have
Yes. Yes.
both. You burn out or you're just going to fall apart on the floor, you
Yeah.
know. So
Well, even that's, I mean, we, yeah, there's a lot of, I'm sure there's a lot of things we could continue talking about, but
yes,
like
I think we could.
the, I mean, there's some really interesting studies. Like Sean Acor is a researcher. He's written some books. Um, you know, in spite of the work culture in the US and the fact that like as a nation we're very productive, like GDP is very high and all that. Um, in fact, per individual worker, we have a very low productivity because we work so many hours. So in places where they take more vacation, they work fewer hours, like the refreshment that you experience and the renewal actually makes the hours that you're working more productive. So there's a reality that like we
Yeah,
need to stop glorifying this culture of just grind all the time.
yeah,
There's a
so
place for it,
much.
but
I
it's
but
yeah.
I
So
think the new generation is doing it. The younger kids coming out of college now, I think, are paying a lot more attention to quality of life, and it's what I see with my kids and their friends.
yeah,
And they're still having a good life. I mean, they're getting things done and having good jobs, but they seem a little more balanced than we were.
I do think that yeah, that message has gotten out. I mean, and there's like the pendulum's always swinging, and there's different it's in three-dimensionally, right? So like it's tough to find the right balance, but yeah, no, absolutely. Um, okay, so tell us more about like running a business that's a dance. Is it fair to call it a dance studio? What do you prefer to call it?
Well, yoga and dance is the main things we do, and then a
Okay,
few more things, but it's mainly a
yeah,
yoga and dance studio, and it's really the dance for adults. It's not performing dance. It's I would venture to put it more close to dance therapy than, certainly not like adult tap dancing.
yeah, and that's what it sounds like. It's sort of like you and I are kind of in the same industry, like broadly speaking,
Yeah.
personal development.
Yes.
Um, So from a business standpoint, what are the things that have really like allowed, what are the lessons you've learned that you could share with our audience, right? That what are the things that have been the most important things for you to focus on to make the business work?
Um, I think one of them really is really checking in with most passionate about, um, with it being my business
Hmm.
and ultimately on my shoulders. If I'm
Hmm.
not like passionate about it and 100% believer, I don't have the energy for it. It just doesn't end up working out. If I get distracted by like, oh, other people are doing this, we should do that. It's not a good idea. It's a lot more effective for me to like keep getting excited about the things that I love and that brought me into this, and share from that place. And it goes back to the same message you were talking about before. I mean, then I attract the people who are the right people to be a part of what I want to do. And I do have like I don't know if you call it the shiny object syndrome, like,
Yeah,
but I do get distracted. I'm like, oh, she's doing it that way. And I can get this little pull, and I have
yeah,
to
yeah.
bring myself back and be like, no, no, she's doing it that way, and this is the way you do it. And so that's a big lesson for me, is to just stay. Someone told me a funny way to remember it, but it's to mind my own business. So it means to mind my business, Soulshine
Right,
Studios.
right, literally, yeah.
Yeah, like literally mind, keep my energy, keep my energy going where I'm going, not where everybody else is going. So
Hmm.
that is my number one challenge and lesson.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I have so many interests that I want to share with people. So like that's also a challenge. I have this dream of being like the Oprah Winfrey of this sort of studio where I
Yeah.
like bring together my clients. Just they trust me. So I want to bring them that I think they're going to love, from things that are adjacent to what we do, not just more of the same, but something that's, well, if you like this, you're going to like that. And I love expanding their horizons, and they feel safer, to try something in our studio than they're not going to go sign up for something so different somewhere else. But when it's right here, they're people they've been in class with, and I've said it's good,
Yeah.
they'll come and they'll try something new, and they will like it, but it's great to try. And a
Mhm.
lot of times people do discover something new they like that way, which is just like, it's very satisfying for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think most of the folks who are entrepreneurs and business owners, um, you're kind of visionary, right? Like, or like you see the future, you see the possibilities, you see the things you want to do, and you're going to go after it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and what that can create is a kind of like ADHD for the organization. Like, wait, I thought we were doing this. Well, now we're doing this. Like, what? Come on, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, as a coach, that's a big part of my job, is to be kind of accountability to, like, what are the SOPs? What are the systems? Like, what are the what are we focused on this quarter? What are we focused on this month?
Right.
And but it's a very natural thing. And it's funny because, like, strengths or weaknesses, that's also your strength, right? That you're passionate and you want to do these amazing things. You're gonna go do it.
Yes.
And you're gonna put energy and make it happen. And you also have to keep the balance of staying focused, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you mentioned some other partners. What how do you guys divide up kind of the work? Like, are you more kind of the leader visionary and
Well,
they're kind of
I'm the only business owner now. We
okay,
were in
okay.
together for 3 years, and that was probably the biggest, that was probably even a bigger hurdle than COVID, to be honest.
Yeah,
After about three
trying to make
years, one of my partners came to the other two of us and said, my heart's not in it anymore. We're friends. I mean, like, I saw her husband today. He's my accountant. We're
okay.
friends.
Sure.
Everything is good. But she just said, my heart isn't in it. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And so the other partner and I were like, Okay, all right. And we were like slightly flustered, but then and so she had been thinking about it, and she had a whole like 3 to 6 month like ease out plan. And she's very, very organized and great attention to detail. And she had been the one doing our bookkeeping
Yeah.
and really taking care of all of the businessy side of things.
Right.
And she came up with a whole plan to ease herself out. And then a few weeks in, my other partner came to me pretty upset, struggling, and said, "You know what? I don't want to do it anymore either." She said, "I want to teach. I love teaching." And she's an amazing teacher, and
Mm,
she still teaches the most classes at the studio. Like, she teaches more classes than I do. She teaches yoga and dance. And I lead retreats with her around the world multiple times a year. Um, but I swear, this splitting up the business, me buying them out, worked with a coach who basically, it was like marriage therapy for
yeah.
me and one partner. Like, it was it was tough. It was very, very tough. And we had all
Yeah.
these calls where, like, I would call the coach would translate, send the message on, get the message back. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so hard. And I felt like everything had been dumped in my lap. And
Yeah.
we had these clients and members who are so passionate about the business and love it. But I was like, well, what? You know, I, I felt like I had to do it. And I also
Mhm.
wanted to do it, but I also felt like I had to do it. And it was scary and super stressful because I didn't want to do everything. And I didn't ever really want to be like the boss. I loved being one of three. Like, three is great for holding up a table. Three, solid. 3, boom. And then I felt all of a sudden like it's all on me. And so
Mm,
that it was very tough at the beginning.
mm.
I made a list of members who in that time, people who'd been with us. I mean, there were people who'd been moving with me for 10 to 15 years and
Wow.
very, very passionate, very committed to doing. And more than a handful had said, if you ever need anything, let me know. So I did get together a group of people who were like my advisors, and
Yeah, cool.
we had a series of meetings over the course of a year about priorities and goals and needs and strategies and all sorts of things. And really the first year was very stressful,
Mm.
but after the first year it really started where I realized I was while I was super comfortable, it goes back to the comfort and courage, I guess. I was very comfortable with my partners just doing what I was supposed to do, and we were moving along, and everything was fine. But once they were gone, from the business, they're not gone from my life, but gone from the business, and everything was whatever I wanted. I could really blossom, in a way that I
Yeah.
never had before because our passions were similar but different. And so, I mean, they used to always joke about me having all the ideas and they'd be like, no, 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 and I was like, okay, all right, we won't do that. But now it's like, "Well, I got a great idea, and I do need to check myself sometimes because I can't do everything. But
Sure.
but the studio is like very for me, it's just a lot more vibrant now because I'm bringing all of myself to it
Yeah.
rather than what fit when I was one of three.
Yeah.
And I love them. Like they're great. It was a different setup then.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
so that was a humongous challenge,
Wow.
but we made it.
Well, I mean, it's great. Actually, I think, and I'm looking at the time, and we should probably wrap. Um,
Okay.
and eh, we've kind of we covered some ground that usually I have to ask some questions about, but very naturally, you talked about some of the struggles and some of the things that were tough. And I love what you know. Very cool story with your partners because partnerships are hard. I've seen probably something like 9 out of 10 that I've seen, at least anecdotally, don't work out.
Mhm.
And that's hard. It's like a divorce. It really is when you've devoted as much energy and as much of your
Yeah.
life and blood and sweat and tears and money, you know. Um, so that's cool that it ended well, right? There was a breakthrough after the breakdown, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so I guess all that said, so what are your plans for the future of Soulshine Studios? Next, and this could be the next couple of years, it could be the next 50 years, next 1,000 years, I don't know, whatever
Okay.
your thinking is.
Well, I would love it to continue to grow. It really needs to grow a little to be very financially sustainable. It's
Okay.
making up some money, but not I would say not enough money for the amount that I'm working. It's
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But us have gets more members, more people in there dancing, and another thing that I really love, like I mentioned, bringing events in. So we have other people using the space for things that are similar but different, and renting space from us, which I think is great. Like just getting that fun energy in there, and trainings and events, and then on the side doing retreats. And so I do retreats. The next one coming up is a private yacht in Croatia. So be leaving in
Not
May.
bad. Yeah,
No, I
okay.
know a
Yeah.
yacht with 19 cabins, and we're sold out from Dubrovnik to Split and do things along the way,
Wow.
dancing
Wow.
on a boat and doing yoga on the boat.
Right. Wow.
And then next
Fantastic.
year we go to Costa Rica, which will be, I think, our 17th week-long retreat in Costa Rica. We've been doing that for a long time. And then to Peru the next year and to Machu Picchu. So that's fun. I love having the chance to really spend more time with people and in a space that takes us away from distractions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really magical for me doing the
Yeah.
retreats.
Experiences were like kind of transformative, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just that's
Yeah.
I love that. And then also
Yeah.
doing events around Richmond and in the country, but with groups that need it. So we're having a retreat for a local business who has some employees who have a lot of anxiety and stress that's affecting their work. So
Their
they're
employees
coming to
have
retreat.
stress?
Yeah,
No.
can you believe it? I don't know why. I don't know why. So yeah, so they're going to come to us and have
Yeah.
a little afternoon taste of what we do on our retreats, and just kind of a gift for their employees to
That's cool.
take a break. And so I would really
Mhm.
like to get into more of that and more corporate things and speaking. And I just recently did I was kind of like, I would call it the hype girl before a big meeting. So to get everybody, ready for what's coming. We just
Yeah.
did a fun little dance and got the energy kind of going. So I would like to do more of that, more fun play. It's
Okay.
good for us as we get older.
Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. So like travel and just growth, and there's kind of these different event types that you're looking to do. But fundamentally grow the business, continue to grow the
Yeah.
business. And all right. And so who would you love to connect with? If someone out there is listening to this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I got to talk to Mare," like to
Hmm.
Mare.
Yeah.
What's yeah.
Um, I would let's see. Well, I mean, if you're just any old person around there who wants to do some yoga or dance, you could join us on Zoom. If you're not in Richmond. So I would love to meet people from anywhere.
Hmm.
And it's interactive, which is really nice. Like we actually see people out there and we're like, talk to you. So
Yeah.
that's fun. And I would love to talk to anyone who might be interested in creating what I like to call an extraordinary event. There are a
Mm.
lot of ways we can go with doing things. And really one of my most I guess I got two favorite words, and one is curiosity and the other is meaning. And I really like to do things that are meaningful.
Mm.
And so if there's anyone out there who's interested in creating some or curious about creating meaningful events, I'm your person.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what we could do.
That are also fun and have lots of movement and all
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. Good
Absolutely.
for your
Fun.
brain and your body
Yep.
and
Yeah, it
yeah,
can be fun and meaningful at the same time. So, yeah.
absolutely. Very cool. All right, and how should people if people are going to reach out, how do they find you?
So
How
we
do they
have the
connect?
website, and you can link to us from there. It's www.soulshinestudios.com. My email is Mare, Mare, at soulshinestudios.com. Those would
Awesome.
be the best ways. I'm also, of course, on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and
Right.
all that. Yeah,
Cool.
but I
So
would love to connect.
websites, soulshinestudios.com, and then the email is mare, Mare, at soulshinestudios.com. Right.
Yes. And I
Cool.
do have my own website in works right now, but I can't share it yet.
Fair enough.
I
Yeah,
can't even
but you're
share the
working on
name
it.
yet because it's not finalized, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
coming.
Cool. And you're writing a book, so be looking out for that as well, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm writing a book, so there'll be that sometime too.
Very cool.
Hopefully, then that will be very interactive, my book. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And maybe we can have you on again and you can promote that.
That would
And
be
yeah,
nice.
we'll
I
see.
would love it. I would love it. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, again, there's a lot of sort of overlap in interesting ways. I I don't do yoga with my clients, but
That's okay.
yeah, but working on business systems and and teamwork and all that stuff. But it's really about personal growth, right? So very cool
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so thanks.
Personal growth at every stage. Yep.
Amen. Yeah, we can always grow. So thanks a lot, Mayor. We'll see you.
Thank you.